drastically different species. You might find a domestic rabbit that has the coloring of a wild rabbit. That is a color pattern that is somewhat common, but usually body size and shape will tell you that this bunny should not be outdoors on its own. If you do find a rabbit that doesn't belong outdoors, that's black or white or has spots, etc., you can call animal control in your area or call us, or we'll help find somebody who can help catch the bunnies to get them into a safe situation. Sheltering rabbits, you're probably familiar with these types of cat and dog style cages. Works great for bunnies too. Put the litter box in there, Heidi box, water dish. Usually works better than a bottle for most bunnies. And toys, very important. Reasons for surrender to shelters and rescues. I'm sure a lot of these are similar with cats and dogs. I did highlight a couple that can be unique for bunnies. I didn't think he'd live so long. Some people just want a pet for a year or two for their kids and don't realize the bunny's going to be around 10 years from now. They didn't realize how much work the rabbit would be, or he's aggressive, or he scratches and bites, he's destructive. Well, bunny's got a bunny. They're going to chew cords, they're going to dig carpet. You got a bunny proof, but also getting them spayed and neutered, so you reduce that smell and you reduce that urine spraying, and reduce the behavioral activities that you don't like just happen to be much better after the bunny is altered. We do hear sometimes people don't want to spend money on the bunny. They've got it for free or they got it for 20 bucks at the pet store, and why would they go spend 75 to have the vet even look at the bunny? I don't know how to combat that any more than I can with someone who doesn't want to spend on a cat or a dog, but we think of bunnies as our friends, and we provide them just as much veterinary care as other companion animals. And there are significant costs with veterinary care for bunnies, and most bunnies are going to need to at least see the vet a few times in their lives. We do recommend an annual exam. Another one that's a little bit unique for bunnies is the school year ended. Who takes the bunny home on the weekends? That's really disruptive to a bunny to have a different home all the time. And it just kind of illustrates that classrooms probably aren't the best spot to have a sensitive animal who's not going to want to be around all the noise and the chaos that classrooms can provide, as well as the uncertainty of who's really taking responsibility if it's a holiday or the rabbit is sick. Finding someone to even pay the vet bill at that time can be tricky. As a shelter or rescue, what kinds of intake procedures would you set for a small animal? Obviously, gendering, we talked a little bit about. The various health checks. We can come in and train your medical staff on some things to look for. We're not veterinarians, but we have a fair amount of experience and can help you look for things, show you how to handle bunnies, etc. We can talk through spay neuter, getting the cages set up right with litter boxes and toys and water dishes. The picture here shows ear mites in a bunny that came into Indianapolis Animal Care Services last year. And ear mites are a fairly common problem with bunnies, but it is easily treated with Revolution. It is pretty painful, and it's also contagious to other rabbits, but that's something not to be afraid of. It just needs to be treated. So why do we house bunnies indoors? Well, they're great companions, but there's a lot of dangers to being outside. The bunny at the bottom of this picture, Vaughn Bunsley, was actually somebody's Easter present. Actually, two bunnies were Easter presents to the kids. They lived in a hutch in the backyard. There was a big storm around Thanksgiving, so of course by now they've been living outside for a few months. Thanksgiving, the hutch blows over, breaks open, the bunnies escape. One of the bunnies, it's gone forever. This one lived in the backyard and in the neighbor's backyards for a couple of months before a neighbor finally said, hey, maybe we need to find secure housing for this bunny so he doesn't starve to death. And of course, winter was coming by this point. So Vaughn is now happy in foster care and just loves it. He's a really happy guy, and it's really a shame that he had that rough start when he's very lucky that he didn't get picked off as a big white bunny sitting in the middle of a lawn in Fishers. But there's other problems with being outdoors. Bunnies can actually get scared to death from predators, or raccoons can break into hutches. And probably the biggest problem is just the loneliness and no one noticing if the bunny is sick. So you wouldn't want to leave a dog outside unattended, hopefully, in a cage. So bunnies are really no different. They really appreciate that attention that a family can give. A couple more pictures from shelter setups. There are various stacking cages I've seen in different shelters. Bunnies do like shelves to jump on. You can also just use a cardboard box. They'll jump on top of those. Here's another stacking style of cage that's metal, but you want to make sure that you're using a solid floor or modifying a cage to have a solid floor. The wire floors can cause sore hocks and are really uncomfortable for the rabbits, and actually they can get some pretty bad foot infections from that. Using a litter box instead of having a drop tray is actually a great way for the bunny to have the enrichment of burrowing and munching on hay and not having the pain on their feet at the same time. A couple of other stacking style cages, there's a lot of varieties, and some homemade larger pens. Another option we use are exercise pens in foster care. While they're not always the sturdiest for permanent housing in a shelter, you could use them for meet and greets so that people can meet with a bunny in an X pen or creating a play area in a hallway. And a couple other options here. If you have a partnership with like a Petco or a PetSmart, of course, with the top on it, some of those Hexi style glass cases, while they're not great on airflow, they do provide an option for a bunny to be in a commercial setting and still help a homeless rabbit from a shelter. Ongoing care, we mentioned the food pyramid earlier. The litter box cleaning and providing hay pellets. If you're a shelter that can provide greens or has volunteers who can bring those in, that's great too. And then reminder to put the litter in the litter box and not all over the floor, because wherever they find it, they're going to think it's a litter box. It's a lot easier to clean just the box instead of the whole pen. If the bunny's not altered yet, then sometimes they are messy, but they'll typically pick a corner. Promoting adoptions. A lot of this will be similar to with cats and dogs, but if you're hiding the bunnies in a back room and no one knows they're there, then there's not going to be a lot of adoptions. So just having photos out in the lobby or moving the bunnies out there during playtime. We can get posters and flyers. We can provide these types of things, as well as care sheets to hang in areas where the public can see the information in the shelter so that they know what to expect with a bunny and how to take care of them. A note on rabbits with companions. Rabbits love having companions. However, if you take two adult bunnies and just put them together, even if they're altered, they tend to fight, and they can fight very badly. It generally doesn't go very well. So we usually use a speed dating approach, but if you do get bunnies that come in together and are same gender or are already altered, keeping them together is actually really great for their emotional and mental health, because having a buddy in the shelter can really ease that transition, and adopting them out as a pair rather than splitting them up is what we always recommend. A few more thoughts on adoptions around providing handouts, especially with rabbits. Lots of people know how to take care of cats and dogs, or at least have a pretty good idea. There's a whole lot of people that don't have ideas about hay in a bunny's diet, or keeping them in something other than a commercial plastic bottom cage that you might find at the pet store. So adopter handouts are really important with bunnies to at least get people on the right foot, and we can help you with that. Couple more tips. Don't forget to, if you're using social media to advertise that you have animals for adoption, include the small animals on those posts. And when you have an event, include bunnies. If you're having a special on cat adoptions, maybe the bunnies can have a special on their adoption fees as well. Playtimes in the lobby in a safe area with supervision can actually, the bunnies will be happier, and it also shows people that bunnies don't always stay in a cage. So finally, just thinking about bunnies as pets in the home. There is bunny proofing involved, so they're not eating all your cords, but they're lovely companions, and it's just a matter of learning to understand their body language and how they interact with you and other members of your household. But shelters and rescues are really important to this, not just rabbit-specific rescues like ours, but we really need places for people to go to get bunnies that aren't, backyard breeders and pet stores, but I also needed places for those bunnies to go when they find themselves homeless. So we could really use the cooperation with all of our shelters across Indiana and other rescue groups. Please ask us for help if you need some ideas. Some online resources include our website and the national website. And we're happy to interact and correspond and come to your shelter to have training. And Sebastian's butt is saying bye.